Okay, so here's another article on my Substack published this summer that did pretty well. Uh, it's called Comments on the Culture War in Comics. Spoiler alert, you will lose. In the world of comics, as virtually everywhere else, the culture war rages. Some of my readers will be familiar with this story, but those of you not, here is a basic overview. For many years now, one faction has had a stranglehold on the North American comics market and are especially represented at what in the world of comics is called the Big Two, Marvel and DC. It's been a vicious and embittered battle, with many comics pros being routed out of jobs for slights, real, perceived, or completely fabricated. Sales are down, and the direct market, that is, comics sold to specialty comics shops, then sold to customers on consignment, is teetering at the edge of total collapse. That's not my opinion. Shops are closing left and right, and those still open are discussing the very real possibility of not surviving past 2025. Some people believe we hit an inflection point in this conflict about 6 months ago. The below clip went viral. It's of comic shop owner Glenn O'Leary, who delivers his opinion on the quality of the merchandise he has to sell to make a living. He does so in his typically biting manner. So I queued it up. If you go to the article, which I've linked in the description, you'll be able to see it. It's relatively mild, but Glenn has a sarcastic sense of humor and like a very blunt kind of way of communicating. So basically, he says a lot of comics read as if the author is placing themselves in the story rather than trying to understand the character they're writing about and writing the story of that character. So he calls that self-insert. This was cut out of the Comic Book Palace episode and went viral on Twitter. Now, I would suggest watching the Comic Book Palace show. It's really funny and it's really it's friendly and it's entertaining. Glenn's opinion that the books are shit because the characters are written out of sorts hit a nerve. A positive one with those who have been feeling this frustration for many years and were dismissed, and a negative one with a number of comic book creators who possibly felt called out by these comments. None of the creators made any substantive counter-argument, but some of them ridiculed Glenn for his appearance. This whole thing was picked up by the King Midas of comics, Mark Millar. Always a class act, he pointed out that such attacks are shameful and labeled them as the actions of cancel pigs. I think he's right, and so is Glenn. There is a trend in mainstream comics writing. There is a trend in mainstream comics writing where the superheroes act in mundane and unheroic ways. They talk about their pubic hair color, pay for gigolos, and attend political rallies, but only the good kind. This trend corresponds with the severe downturn in the market. There also has been a trend of calling those who criticize current day comics as racists, homophobes, fascists, and so forth. These attacks are not working so well anymore. But wait, before your tribal instincts kick in to categorize me as one of those people, hear me out, because I assure you I am no side taker, and I think the existence of my YouTube channel and all the content I've made that is ample evidence of my claim that I'm not a side taker. Many felt that O'Leary versus the Cancel Pigs was a turning of the tide in the comics culture war. At the time, I believed they were wrong, so I'm writing this article here about 6 months after the actual incidents mentioned here. And now I'm reading this several months after I wrote it. So it's been like a year since the whole thing passed. So at the time, I believed they were wrong, and I was proven right by Ed Piskor's death by cancellation, which was met with tragic silence from virtually all mainstream comics. This silence churns my stomach still. There is no tide turning in war. There is only destruction. No one is going to win. Think, what is the end game in this culture war? To make half the population go away? To silence them? It doesn't work. They just go somewhere else to say what they want to say and become more entrenched. Fighting begets more fighting. Is that really how you want to spend your life? Finding political enemies to fight? Here's what I believe is the only sane approach to all this culture war madness. Find something truly, deeply good, the highest possible good. Point yourself at it and pursue it without distraction. Don't stop. Don't call people names. Don't whine and bitch about it. Just work towards the good, day after day after day. That's it. I promise you that this is what I'm striving for with Comics Odyssey. Comics Odyssey is not a culture war weapon, nor will it ever be. It is a pilgrimage to what's good. Okay, so a few things here. I recommend checking out the article. I have posted links to a lot of the sources from where I got like quotes and stuff. An inflection point. Now, if there was an inflection point in the culture war, it was the latest American election. There seems to have been kind of a pretty strong statement against, some culture war excesses. We'll see. Hopefully the pendulum doesn't swing to the extreme other way, right? It would be nice to find like a happy middle where we can kind of get along, but we're going to see. By the way, I'm Canadian, if you don't know, so I have no really say in the election beyond, making comments from the back row. Let's see. So I still stand by these comments. I do believe that is the best approach to all of this is to work on something that's good, to not be fighting on the internet. It's really no use. Nobody wins, everybody gets hurt. There's just work on things, and this is my logo representative of I've got my bag of tricks, and I'm going on a journey, and that's really sums it up. There were some comments, quite a few comments. So let's read some of them. Tiberius, I had no idea the culture war was raging in comics, but I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise. I'm glad that you're out there trying to send the message that it's about art, not the politics. Hopefully the rest of the world will wake up to that truth eventually. I was searching for Ulysses fans and ended up here. Okay, so this is relating to James Joyce. Brothers Crin, rest in peace, Ed Piskor. Indeed. It sounds like he went through a really hard time there at the end. this culture war is really a class war in my view. But am equally tired of the fighting, and these days, just focus on writing. Yeah, just focus on writing. Uh, your wife is one of a kind. I don't. Oh, because I made an update about the printing. Thank you for this. It's spot on. I have very fond memories of the old comics. This is Jen. My piano teacher kept a huge basket of them for kids to read while waiting. That's excellent. Rest in peace, Mr. Piscor. So, um, yeah, I guess I'm making the. Some people do want to fight in the culture war, and they believe it's a good thing to do that. I guess my rejoinder would be, um, what happens when the culture war ends? If your whole identity is wrapped up in being a culture warrior, will you be prepared to let that identity die? Right? Or will you be so wrapped up in that identity, will you be incapable of facing the grief of yourself dying, that you will invent problems so that you can continue fighting your, your holy war? I've seen that happen with people in my life that are so wrapped up in a certain identity that when they discover that that identity is no longer of service to them, that they can't let go of it and adjust. So that's why um, I encourage finding a good that is so high, that is so beyond, so transcendent beyond all the goods, that it, it can't end. There will always be more good to pursue, right? And in my view, um, that doesn't translate into political aims. A good so high is beyond politics. Now, obviously, it'll manifest into perhaps, voting a certain way, or taking action in your community to perhaps, I don't know, just try to feed the poor, or or something like that. It'll translate into perhaps like some social action. But if your aim is on something beyond uh, your immediate reality of your town or your nation, then um, when you hopefully succeed in your social causes, that you will still have a high purpose in your life, that you will not feel empty in your life because you've solved the problem, right? So I hope that makes sense to you. I'd like to hear your thoughts and all that. As you can see, I'm not a side taker. I'm not telling you what to believe or what to think. Um, it's about um, having a high purpose. That's the way I see it. My logo here. You want to know? You want to know what my beliefs are? My logo is going to give you a clue. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Please comment, like, subscribe, check out the links in the description, and have a good day.